Hello, this is Dr. Steve Johnson, and this is Short-Term Counseling, Module 8. The topic will be relapse prevention. This will be a shorter video than the others have been. What I want to cover are 10 things to do with clients in order to help them not relapse and go back into the dysfunctional beliefs and the dysfunctional behaviors prior to therapy. So this would be something that we would do in preparation for termination with counseling. So one of the first things in preparation is to practice with the client debating and replacing the unhelpful self-talk that might come up in the face of an activating event. So again, you could look at hypothetical activating events and the typical kinds of unhelpful beliefs that the client has had, how to debate them and change them, replace them with those that are more adaptive and helpful. And this would take some practice, several sessions just devoted to this in preparation for termination. The other one is also to develop short coping statements in the presence of an activating event. We've already covered what those short coping statements are, and we made it clear that it is best if the client generates those. Sometimes they have a little difficulty, but by the end of counseling or near termination, they should have some facility with that. But some may need some help coming up with short coping statements, in collaboration with you that they may find helpful. And those can be verses from scripture if you are using kind of Christian interventions, or if you're going the license route, then you would use alternative ones. The other thing to do is, again, to use the imagination of the client to practice possible activating events, especially those activating events that the client might still hold onto as concerning or even worrisome for them. If they're doing like, what if such and such happens? Well, just go with the what if. Brainstorm those imaginatively, have the client describe in detail that imagined negative situation or activating event, and then come up with short coping statements to deal with them. A third one would be to go back and to have the client clarify what their short-term and long-term goals are, because sometimes they get so caught up in the activating event, they forget those short-term and long-term goals. And if they brainstorm what those are and even brainstorm what would be some initial steps they could take to reach the short-term goal and to reach the long-term goal, which may redirect them or even distract them from just ruminating on some dysfunctional belief that they have that may cause anxiety or worry about the imagined activating event or critical activating event. Another one is to hold in mind, for the client to hold in mind and describe in great detail the potential negative consequences of holding irrational and unhelpful beliefs or even engaging in the dysfunctional behavior vis-a-vis a critical activating event. So not only do some cognitive restructuring around that critical activating event, but also be very clear, kind of going back to referenting that we covered, about what would be some potential negative outcomes of embracing those dysfunctional beliefs and dysfunctional behaviors. A fifth one is working more at the level of inference than at belief. And the technique here would have the client engage in reframing. Remember, reframing would be to give a different meaning or interpretation to the critical activating event. So if the client is, for example, inferring that the event is a threat, one way we could have them reframe is, instead of seeing that activating event as a threat, to begin to see and act as if it was a challenge or an opportunity. So reframing and then having them act upon the reframe may actually help them move beyond the dysfunctional belief and the dysfunctional emotion or behavior that could arise. Another one, the number 6, is to use rational emotive imagery. You might want to go back and review the structure of rational emotive imagery. Remember, there are two parts to it. In both parts, the client imagines the critical activating event, and then in the first part, they would try to get in touch with the dysfunctional negative emotion, unhelpful negative emotion that they might have in the face of that. Once they feel that, then stop the imagery, calm down, and then the second part is imagine the same critical activating event, but in this situation, the client is to work very hard to make them experience functional negative emotion rather than a dysfunctional one. And then if they need some help around that, sometimes we tie those to rewards and punishments. So for example, the client, you negotiate with the client when to do this daily and to do the imagery daily. And if they do it, then they get to reward themselves with some easily obtained reward, or if not, then engage in some kind of noxious behavior or punishment, in the hope that this is more motivational. So you could practice this with the client in preparation for termination about a potential critical activating event. Okay. Number 7 is the client could engage with connecting with a supportive friend, especially one who has learned the ABC model, if at all possible. Sometimes clients even like to bring a really close friend in to the last session so that that friend can learn the ABC model and even practice what to do to support their friend. What we prefer not to do is for the client to have a friend who will say things that are not helpful. So for example, if the friend says, well, everything will be okay, kind of what a friend would normally say who's like uninformed by the model would say such a thing. But that's really not really helpful, because sometimes the imagined negative event actually happens, and just saying it's not going to happen, or just saying, oh, you'll be able to handle it, may not be real helpful. And so it's better that they visualize that negative critical activating event, whatever that is, and then using the techniques that they've learned to do that. So it's helpful to have a friend walk through that with them. That was fine. I often don't recommend that it's a spouse or a child or someone really, really close, because we don't want to turn that relationship into this. But if there's a supportive friend or acquaintance, then it might be more helpful. Number 8, of course, at the end when you terminate, one of the things to include in your toolbox of things that the clients can do in the face of a negative critical activating event is to say, look, you can always call and make an appointment to see me, and if I'm unavailable, then we will arrange for you to connect with another counselor or therapist who uses the same model to help you out. Okay, so I'll let them know that, because some clients erroneously think that once they terminate, they can't come back, which is false. Or one emotion that might come up might be embarrassment about calling. They would think that, oh my gosh, my counselor is going to think that I forgot everything we learned. And so one thing you could even practice is the client experiencing that embarrassment, and then how to overcome that embarrassment. So they just do what's in their short-term and long-term best interest, have an appointment, and then work on that without shame, without blame, or any put down whatsoever. Number 9 is one thing you can always do. It's a distraction, which might give you time to do the cognitive restructuring. But if the emotion is pretty intense or something like that, then one thing you might want to do just to lower the energy of the emotion a little bit is to have the client engage in an enjoyable, consuming activity. Something that they like to do, and something that takes some effort or some attention, and that they could get caught up in doing. Because often that will be a distraction, they calm themselves down a little bit, and then they are more in a presence of mind to do the cognitive restructuring or the reframing, preferably the cognitive restructuring. And then number 10 is to complete an REBT self-help form, which has been made available to you on Canvas. So please take a look at that form, and you can always share that with a client and have them do that in a situation during the therapy or the counseling, and then post-termination they could do the same thing. So that's all I want to cover on the relapse. My recommendation is that you go back over the videos for these 8 modules, be up on those, and refresh your memory about those. With respect to anything that we've covered in the course, feel free to email me through Canvas with any questions that you may have, and I will do my best to answer them through the conference feature on Canvas. Also, toward the end of the term, I like to just have times where you can just drop in on that conference feature of Canvas and just ask me any questions whatsoever, individually and as a group. So again, anything that I can do to help, just get a hold of me. And have a good day.